Good day and welcome back to my channel. I'm Lawrence DeMetrius, your host. And in this video, I'll be going over the Book of Enoch 1, an intimate review, part 5. Notes for section 2 continue. The parables covering chapters 37 through 71. And you can enjoy many more of these types of reviews at my website, which is lawrencedemetrius.com. And there's also a lot of great music that you can enjoy there. So I do invite you to go today and visit. And right now, we're going to jump right into this review. In chapter 55, Enoch reiterates that Christ will judge fallen angels on the final day of judgment. However, neither Christ nor any holy angel knows the exact day of this event, as it is only known by Yahweh. We see that at Mark chapter 13, verse 32, and Acts 1, verse 7. In chapter 57, Enoch reveals that the wicked will destroy one another. Chapter 58 begins the third parable of Enoch. Enoch continues to share his insight about the blessed destiny of those who worship Yahweh in the light of his Christ. In chapter 60, Enoch dates his initial vision of the great flood. He notes that it took place in the year 500, in the 7th month, on the 14th day in his lifetime. Yahweh did send warning to the inhabitants of earth prior to this event. Enoch also notes that Yahweh created the waters of the earth to nourish it and its inhabitants. However, he gave charge over the waters to select holy angels. Enoch also denotes that he confirmed Noah's calling. In chapter 61, Enoch reiterates that Christ will judge the works of both children of heaven, which are angels, and earth, which are mortals. He notes that the righteous are given measures of faith by which they are strengthened to live righteously. He also writes about the various ways in which some righteous will become martyrs to the glory of the Lord. In chapter 62 and 63, Enoch notes that only those who are divinely graced to recognize Christ for who he is to Yahweh are empowered to lift up their horns, meaning their voices, and open their eyes, meaning their minds, regarding him. While all children of earth are able to properly understand and communicate the divine word of wisdom, not everyone readily receives Christ for who he is to Yahweh. Only Yahweh imparts this capacity and does so only unto those whose hearts are whole unto him. Enoch informs that Christ has never usurped his seats of honor. They were all appointed to him by Yahweh. He writes about how unjust rulers will be in pain before the judgment seat of Christ. In fact, Yahweh is going to drive them from the face of Christ when they begin to beg for mercy before him. Enoch reiterates that there will be no mercy for those who defy Yahweh and hurt his elect ones. He again writes that Yahweh will literally rejoice over the punishment of those who oppress his elect ones. On the day of judgment, they will fruitlessly implore him, Christ, for relief from the flames. No, they're going to employ the Lord, Yahweh, for release from the flames of his wrath to offer him praises. But Yahweh will not permit them to do so because he will no longer desire or require their praises. Enoch writes about the books that account for the lives and deeds of those who transition to immortality in unrighteousness. He reiterates the glorious and eternal inheritance of the righteous. We also see that at Romans chapter 2, verses 7 through 11. In chapters 65 and 106, Enoch foretells Noah of the great flood and why it was coming. Ultimately, judgment comes upon the children of earth because some desire to learn and practice forbidden mysteries. Sorcery, witchcraft, and idolatry are all results of forbidden knowledge. These elements of wickedness serve as fuel for the power of death, which so badly affected human morality in the days of Noah that most mortals were destroyed from the face of the earth. This decomposition of morality will occur again in the last days, but will be much worse than it was in the days of Noah. Enoch reveals that Christ was present and conversed with Noah when he was born. He also notes that the 200 fallen angels came to earth in Jared's day. Jared is the father of Enoch and great-great-grandfather of Noah. It was Enoch who instructed Lamech to name his albino son Noah. And yes, Noah was a Nubian, but he was an albino Nubian. In chapter 66, Noah experiences personal dream visions of the great flood. It was clear to him that this event would affect all who lived on earth at its occurrence. In chapter 67, Enoch discloses that Noah's ark was actually built by children of heaven. He provides more insight about the source of earthly elements used to generate excessive wealth for certain of the wicked. The substance comes from the earthly place of imprisonment of the 200 fallen angels. It is a fiery abode that heats warm springs which soothe certain of the wicked during their mortal lifetimes. The temperature of these springs will burst into full heat when Yahweh executes his final judgment upon them. The pain they experience then will be equivalent to the pleasure they experienced while practicing works of darkness. The pleasure of sin blinds the wicked and causes them to be comfortable in their defiance of Yahweh and their disbelief of his judgment against them. In chapter 68, Enoch discloses that Noah received his formal education in ministry per his teachings. In chapter 69, Enoch gives detailed information about 5 chief angels who were classified as Satans. These 5 Satans beguiled the 200 fallen angels into leaving their heavenly estates to defile themselves with and teach mortals forbidden mysteries. Their names and functions are as follow. We have number 1, there's Gadriel, later known as Lucifer, who is the archangel of war and death. He became the leader of all disgraced spirits. Gadriel's ability to seduce into sin began in the high heavens. All right. Lucifer is the author of every kind of way you can kill and destroy. Lucifer is the angel that teaches all of those ways. 2, Jachan is the Satan who possesses the ability to make evil appear good. He used this ability to help influence the 200 fallen angels to sin as they did. And then 3, we have Asbiel. Asbiel is the Satan who worked with Jachan to influence the 200 fallen angels to sin as they did. 4, we have Penemu. Penemu is the Satan who taught the science of writing with pen and paper. This science would be used to teach and reinforce principles of sin throughout the generations of the children of earth. And then there's 5, Casdasia. Casdasia is the Satan which taught the sciences of smitings in various forms, including the smiting of the embryo in the womb that it might pass away. The elect is to remain watchful of those who discourage continual study of books that teach principles of righteousness, namely those written by true prophets, scribes, and teachers of Yahweh. Enoch writes of how this team of 5 Satans swore to their deeds by an oath, likely referring to Christ, the elect one and head of days. Information provided in chapters 70 and 71 supports Moses's account of Enoch's miraculous translation, which you can see that at Genesis chapter 5, verses 21 through 24. He writes that there has always been a place of blissful recluse for mortals who transition to immortality in righteousness. He reiterates the revelation of Christ in the heavens to certain of Yahweh's holy angels. Apostle John writes a similar description of Christ in his epistle of Revelation, and we see that at Revelation chapter 1, verses 9 through 18. Enoch clarifies that any system that discourages the acceptance of Christ is rooted in the knowledge of forbidden mysteries that were taught by the 200 fallen angels. And there you have it. That is part 5 of our review of the Book of Enoch 1. Again, you can enjoy many more of these types of reviews at my website, lawrencedemetrius.com, along with a lot of great music to enjoy. I want to thank you for spending this time with me today, and I will see you in the next video where we will be looking at part 6 of the Book of Enoch 1, an intimate review. Be blessed.